Admiral June stood at the wide window of his command ship, hands clasped behind his back. Before him lay the blue-green planet the locals called Earth. It looked peaceful from up here, small, vulnerable. Just like the 17 other worlds the Beck Dominion had added to their empire. "Father, the Enoff device is calibrated and ready," said Hana as she entered the bridge. June turned to look at his daughter with pride. At 30 years old, Hana was young for her position as Chief Science Officer of the Dominion fleet, but no one questioned her skills. Her slim fingers moved quickly across her data tablet as she made final adjustments. "And you are certain it will work on these humans?" June asked. Hana nodded. "The neural scans we took show nothing special about their brains. They are actually simpler than the Venta or the Polari. The neural override frequency should control them within seconds." June smiled. It was always the same. Every new species they found thought they were special, unique. But in the end, they all fell to the NOF device. The machine sent out waves that matched brain patterns and took control of them. Once hit by the NOF, any being would stop fighting and obey all commands. "Prepare the first wave," June ordered. Around him, the bridge crew moved with perfect order. They wore the black and silver uniforms of the Dominion fleet. Each person knew their job and did it without question. Screens lit up across the room showing different views of Earth. "Sir, we have selected key population centers for the first demonstration," said Officer Min, pointing to red dots that appeared on the main screen. "New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, and Seoul." June nodded. "Seoul, yes. Their genetic structure suggests our ancestors may have visited this planet long ago. Perhaps that is why these humans look so much like us." Hana studied the data on her screen. "They are divided into many small nations. They fight among themselves. Their technology is primitive. They will be easy to control. Do not underestimate any species," June warned her. "That is the first lesson of conquest." "Yes, Father." Hana bowed slightly. "But the numbers do not lie. Every test shows the NOF will work perfectly on human neural patterns." June walked to the command chair in the center of the bridge and sat down. "Launch the scout ships. Let them see us. Let them know their new masters have arrived." Deep in the lower decks of the command ship, Kai floated in his containment chamber. The crystalline being had once been a high priest of the Polari before the Dominion came to his world. Now he was just another trophy of conquest kept alive to serve. His crystal body glowed faintly blue as he sensed the preparations above. The NOF device was powering up. He could feel its patterns like sharp needles pressing into his consciousness. After 10 years as a captive, Ki had learned to live with the constant pressure of the mind control device, but he never stopped hating it. Through the clear walls of his chamber, Kai saw other captives in nearby rooms. Some were Venta, cloud-like beings kept in special pressure tanks. Others were reptilian Zora, furry Maline, or tentacled Octair. Representatives of all 17 conquered species, kept as servants, test subjects, and reminders of Dominion power. None of them could resist the NOF. When it activated, they all obeyed. But in quiet moments, when the signal weakened, they shared memories of freedom. And now Kai sensed something new was coming. A new world. New victims for the Dominion to enslave. "I am sorry," Kai thought, his telepathic sorrow reaching no one. "I am sorry they found your world too." Captain Tay of Earth's Unified Defense Force looked up at the sky over Seoul and felt his heart sink. The massive ships had appeared just 30 minutes ago, hovering silently above major cities worldwide. Earth's military forces had scrambled jets, but they were like flies against these giant ships. "Sir, we have movement," said Lieutenant Su, pointing up. "Small craft are coming down." Tay watched as sleek silver ships descended from the main vessel. People ran screaming through the streets. Car alarms blared. In the distance, he heard sirens as police tried to keep order. "All units, hold your positions," Tay ordered into his radio. "Do not fire unless fired upon. Repeat, do not engage." His hands tightened on his rifle. What good would bullets do against beings who could cross the stars? The silver ships stopped. about 100 meters above the city center. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every screen in the city, phones, computers, billboards, showed the same image. A man in a black and silver uniform with stern eyes and a face that looked surprisingly human. "People of Earth," the man said in perfect, unaccented Korean. Similar messages were playing worldwide, each in the local language. "I am Admiral June of the Bayek Dominion. Your planet is now under our protection and control." Tae felt rage build inside him. Protection? This was invasion. "Worldwide resistance is futile and unnecessary," June continued. "For your own safety, remain calm. You will soon understand your place in our empire." The message ended. Screens returned to normal, but fear had already spread through the city. "Captain, what do we do?" asked Sue, her young face pale with fear. Before Tae could answer, a strange feeling washed over him, a pressure in his head like the beginning of a headache. He blinked and shook his head to clear it. On the command ship, Hana watched her screens carefully as the NOF device powered to full strength. This was always her favorite moment, seeing an entire species suddenly freeze as the mind control took effect. First confusion, then blank stares, then perfect obedience. "NOF wave deployed at full strength, Admiral," she reported. June nodded. "Show me the results." The main screen switched to live feeds from Earth's cities. They expected to see people standing still, waiting for commands. Instead, they saw continued chaos. Humans ran. Some looked confused, rubbing their heads as if bothered by something, but none showed signs of mind control. "What is happening?" June demanded. "Why aren't they responding?" Hana's fingers flew across her controls. "The NOF is functioning correctly. Signal strength is at maximum. It should be working." "Try again," June ordered, his voice hard with anger. "Increase power if necessary." Hana reset the system and tried again. The NOF hummed louder, drawing more power from the ship's core. The Mindy wave hit Earth again, stronger this time. In Seoul, Tai felt the pressure in his head grow stronger. For a moment, his vision blurred. He heard a voice, distant and commanding, telling him to obey, to submit, to serve the Dominion. He gritted his teeth and the feeling passed. Around him, other soldiers shook their heads like people trying to clear water from their ears. Citizens in the streets looked dazed for a few seconds, then continued running or hiding. "Captain, did you feel that?" Sue asked, her voice shaking. "Yes," Tae said. "They're trying to do something to our minds." He looked up at the alien ships with new understanding. "But it's not working." High above Seoul, aboard the command ship, alarms blared across the bridge. Hana stared at her readings in disbelief. "This is impossible," she whispered. "The humans, they're resisting the NOF." Admiral June's face darkened with rage. In 17 conquests, this had never happened before. "No species resists the Dominion," he said coldly. "Prepare the ground forces. If we cannot control these humans, we will teach them to fear us instead." Hana looked at the images of Earth on the screen, her scientific mind racing to understand what made these humans different. How could their simple brains resist technology that had controlled far more advanced species? For the first time in her life, Hana felt something new, doubt about the Dominion's power. And deep within the ship, Key and the other captive species sensed it too, the first glimmer of hope in a decade of darkness. 3 days had passed since the Dominion ships appeared over Earth. 3 days of failed attempts to control human minds. 3 days of growing rage for Admiral June. "I want answers, not excuses," he shouted as he paced the laboratory. Hana didn't look up from her work. Around her, 20 human test subjects lay strapped to examination tables. They had been captured from different parts of Earth, different ages, races, and backgrounds. All showed the same strange resistance to the NOF device. "I am trying, Father," Hana said quietly. "Their brains are unusual." She pointed to a screen, showing brain scans. "Look here. When we use the NOF on any other species, their neural patterns become ordered and calm. But human brains..." She switched to another image. "They stay chaotic. Even when we increase the power. June frowned at the colorful images. Are they using technology to block us? Some kind of shield? No, Hannah said. It's natural. Their brains are just noisy. They think about many things at once. They feel different emotions at the same time. They believe things that contradict each other. That makes no sense, June said. Exactly, Hannah replied. And that's why our device doesn't work on them. The NOF needs logical patterns to latch onto. Human minds don't follow the rules. Outside the laboratory windows, Earth hung in space, still free. June's hands balled into fists. Capture more test subjects, he ordered, and begin the ground attack on their major cities. If we cannot control them, we will break them the old way. Captain Tay crouched behind a burned-out car as Dominion soldiers marched down the streets of Seoul. They wore silver armor and carried weapons that fired beams of blue light. Whatever they hit turned to ash instantly. Hold position, Tay whispered into his radio. Wait until they pass the ambush point. Next to him, Lieutenant Sue checked her rifle. Will bullets even hurt them? She asked. Yes, Tay said. We learned that yesterday. Their armor is strong but not perfect. Aim for the joints. Neck, elbows, knees. 5 days of fighting had taught Earth's defenders many things about their enemy. The aliens looked almost human but were stronger and faster. Their weapons were advanced but they could be killed, and most importantly, they were angry and making mistakes. They expected us to just give up, Tay told his squad. They don't know how to fight an enemy that can think for themselves. The alien soldiers marched closer, moving in perfect formation. Too perfect. Too predictable. Now, Tay shouted. From windows and rooftops, human soldiers opened fire. The first line of Dominion troops fell before they could react. The rest scattered for cover, suddenly less organized. Tay smiled grimly. These aliens fought like machines. No creativity, no adaptation. It was as if they were used to enemies who didn't really fight back. But his smile faded as a larger ship descended from the sky. It hovered over the battlefield, and a beam of light shot down. When it cleared, 50 more Dominion soldiers stood ready. Fall back, Tay ordered. We've done enough for today. As his team retreated through the ruins of the city, Tay wondered how long humans could resist. The aliens had better weapons and ships that could travel between stars. But humans had something they didn't expect, minds that couldn't be controlled. Kai floated in his containment chamber, watching as new human captives were brought aboard. Unlike the other species who had been captured over the years, these humans fought against their guards even in chains. They shouted. They struggled. They refused to give up. Ki had never seen anything like it. When the Pilari were conquered, the NOF device had turned them into willing slaves within moments. All other species shared the same fate. But these humans, they kept fighting. One of the new captives was brought to the cell next to Ki's, a male human in a torn uniform. The guards threw him roughly onto the floor, then sealed the door. When they left, the human stood up and examined his cell. He touched the walls, looked at the strange light fixtures, and then noticed Kai watching him. The human stared at the crystalline being with wide eyes but showed no fear. After a moment, he walked to the clear wall between their cells and raised his hand in greeting. Hello, he said. I'm Captain Tay. Kai was surprised. Most new captives were too frightened to speak to the strange alien creatures around them. He floated closer to the wall and glowed slightly brighter in response. You can understand me? Tay asked. Kai couldn't speak with a physical voice, but he could project simple images telepathically. He sent an image of himself nodding, yes, hoping the human would understand. Tay's eyes widened. You're telepathic. Can you hear my thoughts? Kai sent another image, himself shaking side to side. No, he couldn't read minds, only project simple images. But it was communication. And after years of silence, Ki was eager to talk. Do you have a name? Tai asked. Ki pulsed his light in a pattern that meant his name in the Pilari language. It looked like a star briefly flaring. I'll call you Kai, Tay decided. Short and simple. Can you tell me about this ship? About the aliens who captured us? Kai hesitated. The NOF device would punish him if he helped a prisoner. He could feel its pressure in his mind, warning him to stop. But something was different. Now. The device was working harder than usual. Its energy spread thin as it tried and failed to control the humans. Kai found he could resist its orders more easily. Slowly, carefully, Kai began to send images to Tay. Pictures of the Dominion ships, the NOF device, Admiral June and Hana, other captured species, 17 conquered worlds. Tay watched closely, understanding more than Kai expected. They've done this before, he said. Many times. But something's different with humans, isn't it? Their control thing doesn't work on us. Kai pulsed yes. Why? Tay asked. Kai didn't know, but he sent an image of human brains compared to other species' brains. The human brain glowed with more chaotic patterns. Our minds are different somehow, Tay said thoughtfully. That's why they're running tests instead of just invading full force. Kai pulsed yes again, stronger this time. A noise outside the cells made both of them grow still. The door opened, and a woman in a science uniform walked in. It was Hana, the Thal, Admiral's daughter. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. You, she said, pointing at Tay. You're the military leader we captured. I have questions for you. Tay straightened his shoulders and met her gaze. I have questions too, like why you're trying to enslave my planet. Hana looked surprised at his direct response. We're not enslaving anyone. The Dominion brings order to chaos, protection, advancement. By taking away our freedom to think? Tay asked. Freedom is overrated, Hana said. The species under our control don't suffer. They're happy, peaceful. Kai pulsed his light angrily at this lie, but Hana ignored him. Come with me, she told Tay. You're going to help me understand why your species is so stubborn. As guards led Tay away, he looked back at Kai. Something passed between them, an understanding. They were allies now, however unlikely, and aboard the Dominion command ship, a small resistance began to form. Pain shot through Tay's body as the testing machine hummed around him. He gritted his teeth but refused to scream. This was the 5th day of Hana's experiments, each one more painful than the last. Your pain resistance is remarkable, Hana said, checking the readings on her screen. Most species beg for mercy by now. Is that what you want? Tay asked through clenched teeth. For me to beg? Hana looked up, surprise on her face. No, I want to understand. Science isn't about cruelty, it's about knowledge. Tell that to the people your soldiers are killing on Earth, Tay said. Hana turned away. The reports from Earth showed heavy fighting in every major city. Humans were using simple weapons against advanced Dominion technology, yet somehow they were still fighting. No other species had resisted this long. The machine is showing something interesting, Hana said, changing the subject. When we apply the NOF signal to your brain, your thoughts actually become more chaotic, not less. It's like your mind fights back. She adjusted some controls and the pain in Tay's head increased. On the screen above, his brain scan lit up with colorful patterns. See these areas? Hana pointed. In all other species, these would form straight, orderly patterns under the NOF. But your brain creates new connections instantly. You adapt. You resist. Despite his pain, Tay felt a surge of pride. Humans wouldn't give up their freedom easily. What happens if you turn up the power? He asked, partly to distract her, partly to understand his enemy. We tried that on other human subjects, Hana said quietly. Higher power levels cause brain damage or death, but never control. It's frustrating. Tay noticed something in her voice. Doubt? Admiration? He couldn't tell, but it was a crack in her confidence, something he could use. Maybe control isn't the answer, he suggested. Maybe working together is better than forcing obedience. Hana laughed, but it sounded hollow. My father would never accept that. The Dominion has one way of doing things. She turned off the machine and the pain stopped. That's enough for today. Guards, take him back to his cell. As the guards led Tay away, he caught Hana looking at her data with a troubled expression. She was beginning to question everything she believed in. Back in his cell, Tay slumped against the wall, exhausted. Kai glowed softly in the next cell, sending images to ask if he was okay. I'll live, Tay replied. And I learned something important. Their control device can't be made stronger without killing us. That means they have limits. Kai pulsed with excitement and sent a new image. The NOF device with a timer counting down. What does that mean? Tay asked. The device has a schedule? Kai sent another image, himself glowing brightly, then dimming as the counter reached 0. You can sense when it's about to activate, Tay realized. You can feel it coming. Kai pulsed yes. Then he sent an image of the device activating and himself warning Tay. You could warn us when they're about to use it, Tay said. That could be useful if... He stopped as a new prisoner was brought to the cells. It was a young woman in a torn, Earth military uniform. The guards threw her into a cell across from Tay's and left. Lieutenant Su, Tay called out when the guards were gone. Are you hurt? Su looked up, her face bruised but her eyes clear. Captain Tay, you're alive. She moved to the front of her cell. I'm okay, they caught me with the rest of Squad 7. What's happening on Earth? Tay asked. We're still fighting, Su said proudly. Their ground troops are taking heavy losses. They expected us to surrender. But every day more people join the resistance. We've even captured some of their weapons and figured out how to use them. Tay felt hope rising in his chest. Humans were adaptable. Given time, they might even find a way to fight the Dominion ships. What about you? Su asked. What is this place? We're on their command ship, Tay explained. They're studying us, trying to figure out why their mind control doesn't work on humans. He introduced her to Kai, explaining how the crystalline being could communicate with simple images. Can all the aliens in these cells communicate? Su asked, looking around at the other prisoners. I don't know, Tay admitted. Kai is the only one I've talked to. Kai sent an image showing the other captive species, the gaseous Venta, the reptilian Zora, the furry Maline, and others. In the image, all of them had dim, weak lights in their heads. The mind control affects them all, Tay translated. But maybe not as strongly when it's focused on trying to control humans. An idea began to form in Tai's mind. If humans were naturally resistant to the NOF, could they somehow help the other species resist too? Ki, Tay said slowly. Can you ask the others if they remember what it was like to be free, before the mind control? Kai pulsed uncertainly, then sent his thoughts to the other cells. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then, slowly, other prisoners moved closer to their cell walls. A gaseous Venta swirled more actively. A reptilian Zora raised its head. They were listening, remembering. On the bridge of the command ship, Admiral June received the latest battle reports from Earth. His face darkened with each update. 7 ships damaged, 300 troops lost, and still they fight, he said, voice tight with anger. These humans are becoming more than an annoyance. Officer Min bowed nervously. Sir, some of our ground commanders report that the humans are adapting to our tactics. They are using unusual fighting methods, hiding, striking, then disappearing. Guerrilla warfare, June said. Primitive but effective against a superior force. Where is my daughter? Has she made any progress with the NOF? She is still running tests, Admiral. She requested more time. June slammed his fist on the arm of his command chair. Time is something we no longer have. The longer this resistance continues, the more it costs us. And worse, word might spread to our controlled worlds that a species exists that can resist us. He stood up and walked to the ship's viewing window. Earth rotated slowly below them, beautiful and defiant. Prepare the planetary bombardment system, June ordered. If we cannot control these humans, we will make an example of them. Target their largest cities first. Sir, Min said hesitantly, that would kill millions of potential subjects. They are not subjects if they cannot be controlled. June snapped. They are threats. Begin the targeting sequence. As the bridge crew hurried to obey, June did not notice the small maintenance worker who had overheard everything. The worker slipped away quietly and hurried down to the lower decks, to the laboratory where Hana was working. Hana looked up from her data when the door opened. A junior lab assistant entered, looking nervous. "What is it?" she asked. "Dr. Hana, your father has ordered planetary bombardment of Earth. It begins in 1 hour." Hana's eyes widened. "Bombardment? But my research, my test subjects." "He's tired of waiting," the assistant said. "He wants to make an example of Earth." Hana dismissed the assistant and sat down heavily. Millions would die. All her research would be lost, and for what? Because her father couldn't accept that one species might be different? For the first time in her life, Hana questioned the Dominion's methods. She thought of Tay and his questions about freedom versus control. She thought of all the species they had conquered, their cultures erased, their minds enslaved. Was this really bringing order to chaos? Or was it something much worse? Hana made her decision. She stood up and walked quickly toward the detention area. She had 1 hour to change everything. The cell door slid open with a soft hiss. Tay looked up to see Hana standing there without guards. Her face was pale, and her hands shook slightly. "We don't have much time," she said. "My father has ordered bombardment of Earth. It begins in 55 minutes. Tay jumped to his feet. "Bombardment, you mean?" "Yes. Destruction of your major cities. Millions will die." Hana looked down. "I can't let that happen." Lieutenant Sue pressed against her cell door. "Why are you telling us this? Why not just let it happen?" "Because it's wrong," Hana said simply. She held up a control device and pressed a button. All the cell doors in the detention area slid open. "I'm freeing you all." Tay stepped cautiously out of his cell, not fully trusting her. "Why the sudden change of heart?" "My whole life I believed the Dominion brought order and peace to the galaxy," Hana explained, "but studying humans showed me something different. Your resistance isn't chaos, it's genuine freedom, the kind that comes from inside, not from rules forced on you." Kai floated out of his cell, glowing brightly with excitement. Other alien prisoners emerged slowly, unsure what was happening. "The NOF device is still active," Hana warned. "These other species will feel its pull, but its power is divided, trying to control so many humans. This might be their only chance to break free." Tay looked at the gathered aliens, beings from 17 different worlds, all enslaved by the same technology. "What's your plan?" he asked Hana. "We need to reach the main NOF control room," she said. "I can't shut it down completely. It has too many safeguards, but I can modify it." She looked at Key. "With your help." Key pulsed with surprise. "The Pilari have natural telepathic abilities," Hana explained. "The NOF was partly based on studying your species. If we combine your abilities with what I've learned about human brain patterns, we might be able to change the NOF signal." "Change it how?" Tay asked. "Instead of forcing control, it could break control, free minds instead of enslaving them." She looked at her watch. "But we need to hurry. My father will notice I've released the prisoners soon." Tay turned to Sue. "Lieutenant, gather any prisoners who can fight. We'll need to hold off guards while Hana and Key work on the NOF." Sue nodded and began speaking to the alien captives using gestures to overcome language barriers. "Can we also stop the bombardment?" Tay asked Hana. "The weapons controls are on the bridge," she said. "My father will be there." Tay's jaw tightened. "Then we'll need to split up. I'll go to the bridge." Alarms blared throughout the massive ship. Admiral June looked up from the bombardment preparations as Officer Min rushed to his side. "Sir, the prisoners have escaped. Your daughter," she released. "Them." June's face hardened like stone. "Find her, bring her to me, and kill the escaped prisoners, all of them." "What about the human test subjects?" Min asked. "Especially them," June said coldly, "and move up the bombardment timeline. Begin in 30 minutes. As Min hurried away, June stared at the view screen, showing Earth below. His own daughter's betrayal was final proof. Humans were dangerous. Their chaotic thinking was somehow contagious, spreading doubt even to his perfect child. I should have destroyed them immediately, he muttered. Soon he would correct that mistake. Tay, Sue, and a group of freed aliens moved quickly through the ship's corridors. Hana had given them a map showing the fastest route to the bridge. Kai and 3 other telepathic species went with Hana toward the NOF control room. Remember, Tay told his group, we only need to hold the bridge for a few minutes, just long enough for Hana and Kai to modify the NOF device. They turned a corner and came face to face with a squad of Dominion soldiers. For a moment, both groups froze in surprise. Then the soldiers raised their weapons. Down, Tay shouted, pulling Sue behind a wall panel. Blue energy beams hit the wall where they had been standing. The aliens with them scattered for cover. A furry Maline wasn't fast enough. A beam hit it squarely, turning it to ash instantly. We need weapons, Sue said. Tay looked around desperately. His eyes fell on a maintenance panel in the wall. Cover me, he shouted, then ran to the panel and tore it open. Inside were tools and equipment for ship repairs. He grabbed what looked like a cutting tool with a glowing end. A soldier appeared around the corner. Tay pointed the tool and pressed what he hoped was the activation button. A beam of red light shot out, cutting through the soldier's armor. The soldier fell. Grab his weapon, Tay called to Sue. She darted forward and took the fallen soldier's gun. More soldiers appeared. Sue fired the captured weapon, taking down 2 more. The remaining aliens in their group found courage and joined the fight, using their natural abilities. Acid spit from a Zora, crushing strength from a rock-like granite being. Slowly, they fought their way toward the bridge. In another part of the ship, Hana led Key and the other telepathic aliens to a heavily secured door. This is it, she said. The NOF control center. She placed her hand on a scanner. The door recognized her as Chief Science Officer and slid open. Inside was a room filled with complex machinery. At the center stood a tall pillar of light, the main NOF transmitter. Quickly, Hana said, moving to the control panel. I need to explain what we're doing. She pulled up diagrams of the NOF wavelength patterns. The device works by creating order in brain patterns, forcing thoughts to follow specific paths. But human brains resist this because they naturally create new, unpredictable connections. Key glowed with understanding. He sent an image showing the rigid patterns breaking apart. Exactly, Hana said. We need to reverse the signal. Instead of forcing order, it will encourage chaos, creative, free thinking. She began reprogramming the device while Kai and the other telepaths gathered around the central pillar. Their natural abilities would help reshape the signal. This will free all the controlled species in the Dominion, Hana explained. Not just on this ship, but across all 17 conquered worlds. The signal will spread through our network. Suddenly, the door slid open again. Dominion guards rushed in, weapons ready. Stop what you're doing, their leader shouted. By order of Admiral June. Kai moved in front of Hana protectively. The other telepathic aliens joined him. Together, they focused their mental powers on the guards. The guards hesitated, confused by the sudden assault on their minds. It gave Hana the time she needed. Just a few more seconds, she said, fingers flying over the controls. On the bridge, Admiral June watched as the bombardment targeting system locked onto Seoul, South Korea. From there, the weapons would move to other major cities around the world. Firing sequence initiated, reported a technician. First strike in 3 minutes. The bridge doors burst open. Tay, Sue, and several aliens rushed in, wielding captured weapons. Behind them lay the bodies of June's elite guard. Stop the bombardment, Tay demanded, pointing his weapon at June. The Admiral stood calmly. You're too late. Nothing can stop the sequence now. Then we'll destroy the weapons, Sue said, moving toward the control panel. June smiled coldly. Try if you wish, but know that in doing so you doom your own species to permanent war with the Dominion. We will return with more ships, more weapons. Maybe, Tay said. But we'll keep fighting. That's what humans do. June's smile faded. In the human's eyes, he saw something that disturbed him deeply, not just resistance, but absolute certainty. This human truly believed he could win against an empire that spanned 17 worlds. What makes your kind so stubborn? June asked. Why can't you accept your place in the natural order? Because we don't believe in your order, Tay replied. We believe in freedom. Messy, chaotic freedom where people choose their own path. As they faced each other, the ship suddenly shuddered. The lights flickered, and through every speaker, a strange new sound began to play, a song of chaotic, beautiful freedom. The strange music filled every corner of the massive Dominion ship. It wasn't just sound. It was a new kind of nuff signal, but completely different from before. Instead of forcing minds into rigid patterns, it encouraged freedom and independent thought. On the bridge, Admiral June grabbed his head in pain. What is happening? He demanded. Around him, Dominion crew members looked confused. Some shook their heads as if waking from a deep sleep. It's Hana, Tay said, lowering his weapon slightly. She's changed the NOF device. Impossible, June shouted. But even as he spoke, he felt something changing in his own mind. Thoughts he had never allowed himself to think began to surface. Doubts about the Dominion. Questions about their methods. He fought against these new thoughts. The bombardment will continue. Nothing can stop it now. Sue rushed to the weapons control panel. 2 minutes until first strike, she called to Tay. I don't know how to stop it. Tay kept his eyes on June. Tell her how to disable it, he demanded. Never, the Admiral snarled. But his voice lacked conviction. The new NOF signal was affecting him too, breaking down the rigid thinking that had guided him for decades. New voice spoke from the doorway. Father, please help us stop this. Hana stood there with Kai floating beside her. The crystalline being glowed with a bright, pulsing light that matched the rhythm of the strange music. Hana, June said, his voice suddenly tired. What have you done? I fixed it, she said, walking toward him. The NOF doesn't have to control. It can set minds free instead. That's not what it was designed for, June argued. That doesn't matter, Hana replied. Just because something was made for one purpose doesn't mean it can't be used for something better. Kai floated forward and projected an image that everyone could see. 17 worlds with beings looking up in surprise as their minds cleared for the first time in years. The signal is spreading through the entire Dominion network, Hana explained. Every controlled species is waking up right now. 1 minute to bombardment, Sue called out. June looked from his daughter to Tay to the view screen showing Earth below. For the first time in his life, he felt uncertain. The NOF had always guided the Dominion leaders too, he realized, keeping them focused on conquest and control, never questioning their methods. The override code is Beck 7 Alpha Prime, he said finally. Enter it and the system will abort. Sue quickly typed in the code. The countdown froze at 30 seconds. Bombardment aborted, the computer announced. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. Then one of the Dominion officers removed his helmet. His eyes were clear and aware in a way they hadn't been before. What do we do now, Admiral? He asked. It was a simple question, but June had no answer. For centuries, the Dominion had only followed one path: conquer, control, expand. Now that path had disappeared. We find a new way, Hana answered when her father remained silent. A better way. 3 months later, Tay stood at a large window in the Seoul Conference Center. Outside, Dominion ships still hovered in the sky, but they were no longer threatening. Now they were part of the largest diplomatic gathering in Earth's history. Thinking deep thoughts, Captain? Sue asked, joining him at the window. She wore a formal uniform with new insignia, Earth Defense Force Ambassador. Tay smiled, just amazed at how quickly things changed. 3 months ago we were fighting for our lives. Now we're hosting a galactic peace conference. Humans adapt quickly, Sue said, and so do other species, when given the chance to think freely. The conference hall behind them was filled with representatives from all 17 formerly conquered worlds. Some looked almost human. Others were completely alien. Crystalline Pilari, gaseous Venta, reptilian Zora. All were talking, arguing, and working together as equals. Ki floated over to join them. The Pilari's light patterns had become more complex since gaining freedom. He projected an image of the conference table where Hana was speaking with several alien delegates. Yes, she's doing well, Tay agreed. Not many people could go from enemy scientist to peace coordinator so quickly. After the NOF device was reprogrammed, the entire Dominion had changed. Without mind control forcing obedience, many worlds had initially fallen into chaos. But Hana had proposed a solution. Use the NOF network not to control minds, but to share knowledge and understanding between species. Earth had become the center of this new alliance, with humans acting as mediators. Admiral June entered the conference hall, looking older and less certain than before. When freed from the NOF's subtle influence, he had surrendered control of the Dominion fleet. Now he served as an advisor, helping the former Dominion worlds transition to independence. He still doesn't fully understand why he was wrong. Sue observed. Maybe not, Tay said. But he's trying. That's all any of us can do. Kai projected a new image, the modified NOF device, now called the Knowledge Exchange Network. The device that once enslaved minds now helped translate languages, share cultural understanding, and build connections between vastly different species. We should join the others, Tay said. The treaty signing begins soon. As they walked toward the conference table, a Zora delegate approached Tay. Human captain, the reptilian being said in its hissing voice. My people have a question we cannot answer. Perhaps you can help us understand. I'll try, Tay said. When the mind control affected all other species, why were humans different? What makes your brains resist control? Tay considered the question carefully. It was something scientists from all 18 worlds were studying now. We think it's because human minds are naturally rebellious, he explained. We question everything, even ourselves. We doubt. We argue. We believe contradictory things at the same time. This is inefficient, the Zora observed. Extremely inefficient, Tay agreed with a smile. But it means our thoughts never follow just one path. The NOF couldn't force our minds into a pattern because we naturally resist patterns. The Zora's scales rippled in what might have been amusement. So humans' greatest strength is being stubborn and disorganized? Something like that, Tay laughed. We call it creativity and free will. We have much to learn from each other, the Zora said, bowing slightly before moving away. Hana approached next, data tablet in hand. The treaty is ready, she said. All 18 worlds have agreed to the terms. Free trade, cultural exchange, mutual defense, and a ban on mind-affecting technology. What about the Knowledge Exchange Network? Tay asked. Limited use only, with strict oversight, Hana said. No one wants to risk creating another Dominion. She looked out the window at the ships above. My father still believes that someday everyone will see he was right. That order is better than freedom. That control brings peace. And what do you believe? Tay asked. I believe we were both wrong, Hana said simply. True peace doesn't come from control or from chaos. It comes from understanding, from connection. Kai pulsed in agreement, projecting an image of different colored lights moving in complex patterns, separate but harmonious. The conference room quieted as the treaty signing began. Representatives from 18 worlds, once enemies, now took turns adding their signatures or marks to the document. When it was Earth's turn, Tay stepped forward with Sue. As they signed, he thought about how close they had come to destruction. One stubborn quirk of human biology, chaotic, resistant brain patterns, had saved not just Earth but 17 other worlds from endless control. Humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy, Sue whispered as they stepped back. The right to think for yourself. Ty nodded. Even if those thoughts are messy and contradictory. Especially then, Hana added, joining them. That's when the best ideas happen. Above them, the ships of the former Dominion fleet began to power up. Not to attack, but to return representatives to their homeworlds. Soon, regular transport ships would establish routes between all 18 planets. Cultural exchanges would begin. A new age of galactic cooperation would take the place of the old empire, and it had all started because humans simply couldn't be controlled. The end.